All right, guys, let's get started. So if you guys have any questions, just gonna put them in the chat, and I'm gonna get started kind of with the presentation. I don't think that this is gonna take me longer than an hour. I'll be really honest. I think it'll take hopefully in 40, maybe 50 minutes, just to keep things a little shorter. So let me share my screen, and let's do that. Okay, I'm ready. I gotta shave clearly, but anyways, you guys aren't here for the looks. So this week's topic is going to be running multiple ranking methods / keywords at once. So essentially, if you're doing a rebate giveaway and you want to do kind of multiple different kind of ranking methods, maybe you want to do some search, find, buy, and you want to do some laundering links, and you want to do both of them kind of in one kind of offer, then you can definitely do that. And I'm going to be going over exactly how to set that up in this webinar. So that is basically it for the intro. To kind of go over some just ground rules, guys, it's pretty simple. The calls usually last about an hour long. I'm hoping this one is going to be, I want to say 50, maybe 40 minutes long, just because I don't think it's going to take that long for me to go over this. And if I do ever kind of unmute you, or you want to have a question, just make sure that you keep whatever the question is or whatever you're talking about kind of hidden, if you will, like meaning you're not going to say whatever. You don't want to give out whatever your information is that you want to keep hidden, right? So if any sensitive information, don't share it, is what I'm trying to say. This is recorded, and there will be a replay kind of link to this at some point, and I do have a Google document to kind of go over all the different calls. I'll be going over that at the end of the call, at least talking about that. Feel free to ask any questions during the webinar. I'll take time to kind of answer it. I try not to kind of, as I'm talking about things, I'll try not to just answer it right away, but I will get to it eventually. There's Troy. And I think with that, I mean, that's more or less the ground rules. I usually just go over this really quickly, but yeah. Okay, so let's see. I can't hear you. Troy, can you hear me, or is it?
Yep, you're coming through loud and clear on my end.
Okay. So I guess it must be his maybe audio or something. You think you can maybe just tend to that a little bit? Just say like, you're able to hear him or able to hear me. Okay, so to jump into this, guys. So running multiple ranking methods at once, it's really not that difficult, in all honesty. That's why I don't think this call is going to last too long. So let's just jump into the next kind of slide. Let me put it in full presentation mode. I always forget. So the first thing you guys are going to want to do, well, there's kind of 4 main things you guys want. The first thing is you're going to want to set up your ManyChat account for success, right? That's what I say here. And essentially I have a kind of a webinar that I've already done going over exactly how I set things up. This isn't necessarily telling you how to make a Facebook page, how to make a ManyChat account. Those are things that you can probably easily find just doing a quick Google search or even a YouTube search. And there'll be plenty of videos going over how to make a ManyChat account, how to make a Facebook page, and so on. My kind of setting up ManyChat for success is really the kind of advanced things you want to be doing as an Amazon seller. So making sure you have OTN set up, making sure you have the right flows set up, right? Like the right welcome message, the sign up flow, internal giveaway. So list management flows and so on, right? So you want to have all these things kind of set up even before you do a rebate giveaway at all. That way you're just setting yourself up for future success, and it's not going to be so difficult later down the line. The next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to install one of the rebate automation templates. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be a Seller.Tools rebate automation template. It could be from somebody else, or it could be something you've made yourself, or so on. But you're going to need a rebate automation template to be able to utilize multiple ranking methods. So again, these are add-ons, if you will, to the rebate automation template. And of course, Seller.Tools here, we have some really good ones, super advanced. So don't think that just because it's not under or behind a paywall that it's like, oh, well, this is probably just watered down or something. It's like, it's still really advanced. And I would wager that it's more advanced than even some of the ones that are behind paywalls. Okay, the third thing, where you're going to want to install whatever finding method you're going to want to be using. So I do have 3, and I will be going over those 3 examples later on in this kind of webinar. The 3 that I have is URL rotator, right? So having multiple rotators instead of just one. By default, the rebate automation only has one link that you can kind of go through. In the finding method with the multiple URLs, you can have up to 10. Same with search find by, right? So SFB, you can have multiple kind of keywords you're going to want to rank for in that regards. And then there's laundering links. Laundering links is, I believe it was last webinar, or was it last two? I think it was the last second. Anyways, it was a little while ago. And that one there basically goes over how to use laundering links and set up your landing pages and make sure that it's all neatly set up. And I will go over a little bit on that. But again, I can't go into in-depth on laundering links just because that literally took an hour just in itself. So I will have resources to kind of go over. And if you want to take a look at that, you can. And then the last thing is, once you install those, rebate finding methods, then you actually have to edit it inside your rebate automation flow. So again, I will be going over that as a live example and show you guys exactly how to do that. Okay, do we get a replay link? Yeah, there will be a replay link. So I will actually share something pretty neat with you guys that I made recently this week. And it'll have all the replay links of all the past webinars. So you guys can actually take a look, and it'll actually show you guys which ones are a little bit more important than others. Not saying that this one webinar is extremely not important, but there are some topics that I think hold a bit more importance in terms of use cases and so on. Okay, so setting up the ManyChat account. Now this is where I'm just gonna probably have to exit out, and I'll give you guys the links to this. So if you guys ever do want to just take a look at this, then you can. But essentially, Troy, you have something you want to add something?
Yeah, just real quick, because I'm in the first of all, just saying hi. I missed last week's training, and I'm here for everybody who's attending. Hope everybody's doing good, and I will be monitoring the chat and the Q&A. So to make this time as beneficial, especially if you're live with us, it's a chance to ask me any questions. And again, I know Tyler gets right to the value, just to kind of set the room. If you haven't heard or seen Tyler, he does work with some of the biggest, some of our biggest clients, some of the biggest brands on Amazon. So this is a great opportunity, not only in terms of what he has ready to present and some of the free resources that you'll be able to tap into, but really make the most of being here live and get your questions answered of what your sticking points are, how to rank, what's working best for reviews, all that good stuff. We're more than happy to hash out. So keep that in mind. I know this topic in particular is one we tackle a lot with our enterprise clients that are running multiple campaigns, multiple ranking efforts across a wide variety of keywords. So very much applicable as you scale, but there's no bad question. If we can help you, this is where this time is really valuable, and we love to do it. So I'll be keeping an eye out. Don't be shy. I can tell already there's some shyness and maybe not wanting to speak up, but definitely do so. We are here to help you, give you these resources, but make sure you feel really confident in excelling, removing yourself from the pack and doing something really exceptional with a lot of these strategies.
Yep. Yeah, for sure, guys. Definitely take advantage of the fact that you're here live with us, because the recordings are great and everything, but you can't interact with it live time. So obviously you guys have the advantage of actually being here live. So I did see one question, does this work for Europe? And the answer is yes, it does. You could definitely do kind of rebate automation flows within Europe. You're gonna have to change a little bit of the gift cards. And you might have to, depending of whatever rebate giveaway automation template you download, you may have to remove some of the methods. Like example would be, I believe PayPal and Visa don't necessarily work. And I guess Venmo as well, don't work really for the Europe, because you can't, I mean, you could send gift cards, but it'll send it in USD. And I know in Europe they use pounds and so on. They have many different currencies. So you're gonna have to obviously remove some of those, and you might have to change the gift cards given to whoever it is, right, matching that marketplace. How to monitor order status and capture returns after the rebate. So actually the flow does that automatically. There's like a little looping process, and essentially in this looping process, it'll tell you, it'll change the order status to shipped or canceled or whatever the status is, and then it'll continue down the flow. So you don't actually need to worry about keeping track of the order status. It actually does that for you, like the flow itself. So that's the one thing that's really, really neat with Seller.Tools, is that it really automates kind of rebate giveaways with ManyChat even further than just doing it without Seller.Tools. So you don't necessarily need to keep track of the order status yourself. So capture returns after the rebate. So, okay, I think okay. So I read the question a little wrong here. So capturing returns after the rebate. So essentially there is no really way to see, okay, we rebated this person and then 14 days later, they return the product. It happens, guys. I'm not gonna lie, it does happen. It's pretty rare that people actually do that. But it's almost like just the cost of doing these things almost like it's a very low percentage. Like when I do these, I want to say it's like 1 to like 3 or 5% at most that do that. Obviously, if you're targeting really scammy people and you let everybody go through your funnels or through your flows, then yeah, okay, the chances are it could happen at a higher percentage rate. This is where you can like utilize things like the blacklist to really restrict people from getting these rebates.
Yeah, and they're automatically applied. That's another really big feature of the Seller.Tools API is that those customers are automatically applied to your blacklist. So keeping that active, manually or automatically sharing your blacklists, you're able to do so. All you need is the Seller.Tools account email, and you can actually share in your network across masterminds your collective blacklists. But it's automatically triggered if a return or refund is initiated for those types of orders.
Okay, so this is a really good answer or a really good question. Do you use add to carts, right, ATCs, to dilute the amount of full priced sales internal giveaways you give you and individual keywords? Short answer is for some clients, yes, for some clients, no. It depends on kind of their goals. Because add to carts is something it's different because a lot of people do it through Facebook ads. There's other ways of doing it, but I will say yes. For some cases I do add to carts, but that's like a big topic all on its own. So yeah, we answered about Europe. I think we did that one. Just checking here, guys. Sorry if I'm like delaying it a little bit. Yeah, answered. Okay, I believe I've answered everything here. So I'm gonna put them all. It's done. Do you see anything that comes up, Troy, that I didn't maybe read?
Yeah,
here?
I think one that sharing slides and replays. So we'll definitely make sure to share that with everyone so you have it. So you have prior replays too. We actually had recently a great chat with an aggregator who's empowering their team with some of these resources. So these are really great things to share with your team and make sure you're up to speed, they're up to speed. But let me answer that. Would Amazon sellers would Amazon ban sellers and block the seller account for using this method? No. I mean, there's nothing that we do that's inherently problematic. But it's all in how you execute it too. And really, the way that I think both Tyler and I really approach things is if you do right by the buyer, that's the spirit of what Amazon wants for you in terms of how you interact, support, and engage with them. So when you run rebates, clarify the offer, make sure they know exactly what they're getting, make sure you don't delay. So this is where automation really comes into play, where like as soon as they take advantage of something you've made available, they know what to expect. You're delivering on what they expect. So that's when it gets problematic, is when, there's human error, there's manual aspects, there's incentivization, there's a lot of things that go very quickly to gray and black hat that will then lend to the potential for something like that happening.
Yeah, everything by default, guys, is extremely white hat. I mean, you can obviously convert it as black as you want to go, but just by default, everything is very white hat. So if you just follow kind of what we're teaching here, you guys won't get in trouble. Again, but you can differ from the path. It's not really recommended, but you guys can do whatever you please. Okay, so the next portion here. So once you set up your ManyChat account properly, like I didn't really talk about this, the Google Slides are here, and yeah, I'll definitely keep that as a mental note to share Google Slides. I do have a Google document going over all the replays, and I'll maybe put a little link below with all the slides as well. That way you guys can navigate that properly and have all the resources necessary to kind of execute this. But essentially just setting up your ManyChat account for success. I went over this a little bit, guys, but again, this is just an hour topic all on its own, so I can't cover like every single little aspect, but I would highly advise you just take a look at this. And it's really laid out like nice little SOP. where it tells you exactly what to do and so on. So it just sets up your account so that way you're able to run future giveaways and you're able to keep things organized. So if you do build a team over time, it's not going to be just things are everywhere and it'll, breed a little bit of chaos. So just something to consider. It's not something you absolutely need, but something I'd highly recommend you do at least. Okay, the next thing is actually downloading a rebate automation template. Now, again, there are many different templates you can kind of choose from with the Seller.Tools. We have like, pick a reward, option version. We have Instagram, we have Visa, we have PayPal, we have Venmo. So there's quite a few, and I do plan on adding SMS really shortly at some point. But essentially, there's no shortage of like variations you can pick from. And I could give you guys the links, but again, I'll probably pass them after, like I'll pass the Google Slides after this call, so you'll have links all to all of this. And another thing to also keep in mind here, and I'll just jump over to the other tab here just shortly to show you guys, is on the Seller.Tools website, you can actually go into automation and then right under automation, ManyChat flows. You'll come to this page right here, scroll down maybe slightly, and then there'll be kind of these sub navigation menus here. And then you'd go under rebate automation and you'll see all of the rebate automation flows here that I just mentioned previously. These old versions, I mean, they're the kind of, I guess, old versions. I mean, it says it right there in the title, but they're just the ones that were previously made, right, before I kind of came on board and then started adding kind of my version, which again is extremely similar to the old version. There are just some minor tweaks and simplifications that make it easier for you guys, the editors, to come in, grab these templates and edit it to match your product and then roll with it. Okay, so let's go back over here. So that's it for the rebate automation. Again, to install these templates, very simple. And if you need an overview video telling you exactly what to do and how to click it and all the instructions, there's a video here as well. And then I also had a webinar just going over rebate automation and how to kind of edit that to match your flows. This is what it looks like from like the grand view of ManyChat Flow Builder. Don't make the size deceive you how difficult it is to edit, because I made it so you actually don't really need to go inside Flow Builder and edit anything. The only thing you really need to do is make sure the bot fields are properly edited to match your product. Make sure that the API keys are set up properly in the Seller.Tools, or well, the ManyChat app inside ManyChat. And then make sure that it matches again your goals. So there's literally zero editing that actually needs to happen in Flow Builder. But again, there's like stuff that you might feel compelled to edit because you're like, oh, I want to add this, or oh, I want to do this, which is what we're going to be going over today, which is kind of adding in some ranking methods. I could actually full screen this just a little bit so you guys can kind of see what it looks like. Again, it's really hard to see it properly from this far out, but this is just what the rebate automation flows look like. Again, it looks a lot scarier than when it is when you're actually going in there. Okay, the next thing that we're going to be talking about is the different finding methods. Now, like I said, there are 3 right now. And right now it's the URL Rotator add-on, search find by Rotator add-on, as well as the laundering link Rotator add-on. So I went over the laundering link add-on in a separate webinar. Right, the links is right here, and I'll again, you guys will have access to all these links later down in this kind of webinar. But that there is just like an hour conversation all in itself. So if you're not 100% sure what laundering links is even what it is, I'll just kind of describe it very quickly. What it is there's a landing page, and then there's your Amazon listing, and you're taking your ManyChat traffic, sending them to the landing page, and then from the landing page, they go to your Amazon listing, giving the illusion that the traffic came from the landing page and not ManyChat. So the landing page is usually YouTube, it could be a Google search engine result, it could be a Pinterest, it could be Facebook. And those are kind of the main sources of like the laundering your links, right? So it makes it go through one source of traffic and then to your listing, giving it that illusion that like, oh, look, the traffic's coming from here. This is more relevant traffic, so on, blah, blah. And Amazon likes that. Obviously, we can't prove that Amazon likes it, but like they're being pretty blatant about like, they like seeing external traffic. Even they've recently rewarded people for sending in traffic if you're using brand attributions, or not brand attributions. What's it called?
Brand referral program.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Which my personal stance, and this is, you can input you obviously have to put in a URL for through that process. I would discourage from using a super URL. I mean, we have to think about that, right? We're just plugging in a optimized link right into Amazon's system, and we do that at scale. So this is where link laundering almost gets doubly more powerful, because we're controlling the traffic, we're driving the source. We do so with a high domain authority source, let's say Google, let's say YouTube, and we're giving Amazon really great social signals for conversion ready traffic. It's really, really powerful. So that's another webinar I would bookmark. Make sure you review, make sure anybody on your team, what's the latest on what's working very well for ranking. That is super high up on the list.
Yep. And again, I just later on in this webinar, really soon actually, I'm going to be going over all these 3 flows and kind of how to edit it and then putting it into your rebate automation template. So it's not that difficult to put in, guys. So again, I will be doing kind of a live case and showing you guys, and not just talking about it. Okay, so I think the last thing here, I don't know why it's not going to the next slide. Okay, there we go. So the last thing is well, not the last thing, but this is laundering links. So these are the 2 resources right here. And again, you guys will have access to the Google Slides. But yeah, there's a separate webinar going in depth on exactly, what laundering links is, how to set them up. And then there's a webinar on it. Okay, so the last thing here, guys, is we're actually going to go in and install these templates into a ManyChat account with a rebate giveaway template, and then actually editing it inside the flow. And then you'll see how we're doing it. Now, I've actually already installed all these 3 templates, as well as a rebate giveaway template, just as an example case. But it's really, really simple to install, guys. All you have to do is you just click the link. And again, you could find these links on the website, on our beta access document, and you'd hit install, you choose the page, and then you would hit final. Like you check I like to check the different fields that are merging into each other, but for these ones, it really doesn't matter. So then you would hit, finalize, and then it would install it and it'd bring you to your ManyChat account. Just because I don't want to show all the pages we have access to, I can't just go through that, but I will go into ManyChat right now and show you guys all the flows. So basically what I did was I installed all the flows separately, and then I put them into this folder here just to keep track of things. And this is what I got. I got my rebate automation template, as well as the 3 kind of finding methods that we talked about. I will go over all of them, and I'll do that kind of one at a time here. So let's go over the URL rotator first. This is the flow. I know it looks pretty huge and it might look a little confusing, but it's not that confusing. But the first thing you're going to want to do once you get into Flow Builder is you want to hit Edit Flow. And then you're going to want to edit whatever link you want to be using, right? So remember, this is a URL rotator, meaning like you have multiple Supreme URLs or whatever type of URLs you want. And the users click that URL and they get usually brought straight to your detail page or a 2-step URL, whatever it may be. And then that's how they would find your product. So the thing you absolutely need to change is right here. And these are essentially the links that you're going to be putting in. So let me just, before I talk about that, let me just go into this a little bit more. So all the flows I make have 3 comments. There's instructions, optional step, and notes. Unfortunately, notes isn't here, but instructions is something you absolutely need to do. Optional step is something that's an optional step, right? So you can or you don't need to do it. And then notes is just something for you to consider. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at these flows, that all these comments here, they're just to help you edit the flow, right? These comments are for the editor, not the user. So the first thing we want to look at here is the randomizer. So we want to take a look at where's the traffic going? So if you had 5 keywords and you wanted to distribute that traffic evenly, you'd be doing 20%, 20%, 20%, so on, right? And that's how you would distribute the traffic. In this case, we have 1 as default. Now I would highly recommend you do at least, I want to say 3 to maybe 5 keywords minimum. Of course, if you feel free, if you want to do more, then you could do more. If you want to do a little less, then do less, and whatever matches kind of your ranking goals. But in this example, I'm just going to have 3 keywords. So I'm going to do 34, 33, and 33. Now, the next thing you want to do, and this is more if you're going to be using a Google Sheet integration at the end of your rebate automation flow to keep track of all the data that's coming in. By default, it's not set up like that, but it's very simple to add that in. Okay, so we're going to have to edit this kind of action step right here. Again, this is an optional step, but I would recommend you do it to match whatever keyword that you're trying to rank for. So I don't actually have keywords that I like in mind. So I'm just going to put keyword 1. Obviously, you guys would want to have whatever the keyword is that you're trying to rank for. You'd put it right here in this little value. And then you do the same thing for keyword 2. So we're going to do keyword. And if I'm going really fast, I'm sorry, but I don't want to make this last too long, guys. I know that it's annoying that I might be going like extremely fast, but the good news is the replay, you can always slow things down and pause, rewind, and so on. So I've done all 3 keywords here. So that's all I want to do. Now I want to change the links going to those 3 keywords, right? So now this is like really, really important. So right here, you'll click kind of the message node, right? Just like this. And then if this doesn't come up automatically, which in my case it did, you just click go to Amazon and you'll see that this web address says, please edit this. So this is where you're going to want to put in that Supreme URL, the 2-step URL. And if you're not sure how to make these kind of links, we do have a really great resource. It's called Jenny. And you could find that actually the Seller.Tools website right here. You'd go into resources and then you hit Jenny. And then it's going to bring in our kind of URL generator right here. So you can make whatever links you want to be making, whether that be Amazon choice, hidden keyword. I'd recommend hidden keyword if you're going to use one of these links. You could use branded step 2 or 2-step branded links. So there's a whole bunch of different variety of keywords you can or links that you can use. So you'd paste in that link. And again, it would look, let me see if I can just maybe bring up, I'm going to try to bring up a little example here. I don't want to use this one. Okay, hidden keywords. So I'm just going to do keyword 1. And then I think this will work. I don't know, maybe not. Generate. Okay, so it must be 10 characters. Okay, let's see. Oh, I think I did it wrong here. Okay, so here it is. It generated the link. Obviously, this isn't a real link, but we then can click copy link. And then we go into kind of our flow. We paste in our link. Okay, so we got our link in there. Obviously, keep in mind, like you guys actually have to put in your ASIN and then put in your keyword and Jenny and then click generate. Then what we'll do is we would go into the number, the second keyword. We do the same thing, right? Maybe we type in keyword 2 this time. Keyword 2, hit generate. We would go copy, go back into Flow Builder. And I think you guys get the point, right? So I'm not going to do that again. I'll just copy this. All right. And then that would be kind of it. Once you have all 3 keywords, and at least that's for my specific case. If you had more keywords, then you would probably, you'd want to put all of them in. The next thing you're going to want to do is you want to go to this message right here and change the image to match whatever your product image is. So this should be your main image on the Amazon detail page. So whatever that main image is, you want to replace that right here. So something very simple. You would just click into the message node, scroll down if you need to, and then you'd hit this, and then you would just pick whatever image you want to pick. I don't have an example, unfortunately, but again, I don't think there's much explaining there. You just need to click the image, then it would change it, then you'd hit publish. Now that's automatically going to like publish the changes here, but now we need to take these changes and put that inside our rebate automation flow. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to open up a separate tab. And I'm going to click into my rebate automation flow. So in my case, it's right here. Now we'll hit edit flow once it loads. Keep in mind, when you have 2 tabs, guys, it does lag, especially when the nodes or when the flows have a bunch of nodes in them, which in this case, it's pretty big. So there is a bit of lag. So just keep that in mind that you might have to be patient with ManyChat to load things up. And it also helps to have a good computer too. That's something I learned. Okay. So now that we've edited this, we've deemed it as good to go. We're going to hit shift, right? You click and hold shift, and then you click and you drag down, you grab all of this basically. You don't need to grab everything. Like in my case, I've only used, 3 keywords. So technically I could grab this and that would be fine. But you know what, maybe if I change my mind down the line, I can easily edit that. So I'll just grab everything. All right, I've grabbed all of this stuff. And theoretically, I didn't need to grab these comments here, so I could have actually just grabbed like this if I wanted to. So let's just do it like that. There we go. So I didn't grab these comments at the top because they're not really going to help me at all. So I hit Control C, And then I go to my other flow and I've already hit edit flow. So as you can see, I've hit edit flow. And right here in the middle here, I've kind of purposely made this huge space here. So you can actually just go Control V and then paste, like move it in there. So I'll show you guys what I mean. So you want to move it right roughly here so it like lines up with the condition. It'll snap into place like this. And then once you've gotten in position, then you just click anywhere on the sandbox here, and then it's going to unselect everything. And now you're going to need to edit this, like you're going to kind of need to intertwine it within your rebate automation flow to actually get this to work. So we have everything here now, which is good. That's like step one, get everything in there. Or well, step one, I guess, would be to edit it. And then step two is to paste it in there. And step three is to actually intertwine things. Now, this is the old ranking method right here, like which is just like a link. So we don't really want to use this one anymore. We want to use this one right here. So what we're going to do here is we're going to just kind of move this to the side to kind of see everything that's intertwined with it, right? As we can see, there's two lines going into it, which means these are the two lines. Instead of going into this, we actually want it to go into our multiple URL kind of links right here. So that one there, and then there's one over here, right over here. We're going to grab, and we are going to put it in there. Boom, just like that. Now the next step we need to do is we also need to take this, right? This is the end kind of piece right here. And then we need to throw that over here, just like that. And then now we've just bypassed this one, which is by the default kind of link, if you will, for the rebate automation flows, right? So we basically added this entire add-on right here, and it's all linked in properly. You don't have to delete this, but theoretically you could, but I would just leave it be, seeing as if it's not going to bother you anyways. Now, once you've made this change, then you can just hit publish, and that's going to publish your changes. And now it is live, and you can essentially test it if you really wanted to. So this is just one finding method. Now, again, in the webinar, like it said in the title, we're going to be going over how to do multiple. And how to do multiple, guys, is actually really simple. If you can do one, you could do multiple very, very easily. All you have to do is, instead of plumbing it in straight into this, what you would do is you would click right here, and then you would click anywhere on the kind of white canvas, and then you will go randomizer. You can either make a randomizer, or you can just like hover over a randomizer and then click the little two boxes into each other and duplicate it. But in my case, I just made a randomizer, and in my case, I'm going to have three different kind of randomizers. For now, I'll just put 100% to A. And the reason why I have this randomizer is because this is going to randomize the finding method, which is like, instead of doing URLs, it might do search find by. Instead of search find by, it might do laundering links. So this one here just randomizes it even further, meaning like not only could the users get randomized based on the keyword they're going to find, but it's also on the ranking method, right? So it could be custom URL, or it could be, laundering links. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link that in with that, and then I'm going to add the other ranking methods later down really soon into this flow as well. And I'm just going to keep putting them lower and lower, so that way they're all on kind of the same, block here. So we've done the URL rotator. We've edited that one. The next one we're going to edit here is going to be search find by, just because it's a little simpler than laundering links. The laundering links one is quite a bit more challenging to edit and plumb in perfectly.
Just to stress here too, Tyler, for those that are watching, so the flow that we're adding this to and the individual add-on flows are all available for free that Tyler has fully developed through the resource that he mentioned. So again, on the Seller.Tools site, every single thing that we're covering is already developed for you and ready to go. So that way this content and your questions are really, really good towards how do we make sure that you feel really confident now that Tyler's kind of done all the hard work and the heavy lifting.
Yep. That's 100% correct, guys. So if you go on the website, you see finding method. There used to be the old versions, but these are the new versions. Highly recommend you use those ones. And then again, these ones are only useful if you have a rebate automation flow. And these are kind of all the rebate automation flows right here. Of course, feel free, if you do have somebody else that you're kind of learning from and you want to use their rebate flows and you just want to plumb in kind of ours, you can definitely do that. It's not like it's this is only going to work with this rebate automation. Like you just have to figure out exactly where would be the optimal point to kind of plumb it in. So that way they're intertwined, similar to how I did it right here, right? Wherever the old, like, anyways. So carrying on before I go on a tangent there. Let's go into kind of the search find by rotator here. So like I said, in our last example, we had 3 keywords. So I'm going to continue on that kind of length because I don't want to, go anything too crazy. So we have 3 keywords. What I'm going to do is I'm just dividing it by 3 essentially. That's why I have to add just one, it's technically 33% for each, but you got to add 1% just to make it 100%. Now we want to add the actual keyword here. This is something that needs to happen. So again, if you look at the flow, you'll see that it's very similar to the URL rotator where there's instructions and then there are optional steps. And then there are, sometimes you'll see notes. Notes is the one I don't use too often, but again, instructions is something you need to edit. Optional step is something you can edit. And then the notes is just something for you to consider. So here in the instructions, we need to edit this. And we also need to have a keyword here. This is like, you need to have a keyword here. So keyword with the other URL rotator, it was more like an optional thing, but this one here, you do need to have a keyword. So again, I'm just going to put keyword 1 because I don't really have like an example, but like obviously you pick whatever the keyword is that you're trying to rank for. So I'll just do keyword 1, keyword 2, and keyword 3. So 2 and 3. All right, guys, that is it for that. Now, the next thing here, this is actually something really cool that I don't touch on too much here, but a branded search. So a branded search, if you're not able to do search find by right off the bat because you're, let's say, ranked, I don't know, you're ranked at the 80th position for that particular keyword, and you don't want the users to not be able to find you. So what you want to do is you may have to do a custom URL in the meantime, but there's actually an alternative where you can do a branded search. And a branded search is essentially telling users/customers to put in the keyword plus your brand name. Now that'll still give you attributions to that keyword because your brand name is just adding on to it. And the keyword, like, so if the keyword's there and there's a couple other, words along it, it still gives you attribution for those keywords. So essentially you're still going to get ranking weight for that particular keyword that you're going for. The branded search just makes it easier for users to find you, especially if you're further down in the search engine result page. So I'm hoping I explained that right. To let me know if I didn't, Troy. But what you would do is, yeah, Troy, you can talk a little bit on that.
All good, man. Nope.
Okay, perfect. So if you wanted to do branded search, guys, all you'd have to do is change the traffic from like A to 0% and then B to 100%. And now you're going to be doing a branded search. Now, the next thing you need to do, obviously, is you need to put your brand name here. So whatever your brand name would be, I'm just going to type in brand name, but obviously you'd be typing in your brand name. And what that'll do is it'll automatically change the brand name right here. So that way it'll be like keyword, brand name. And then that way Amazon, when they see like, oh, they typed in this plus brand name, okay, and then it'll, the results will kind of go based off that. So this is a really good alternative for if you're ranking very lower or much lower on the search engine result page. So you don't have to technically use a custom URL. You can just go straight to search find by, just adding in that brand name at the end. If again, you're maybe brand new and your product isn't up there on the search engine result page. But if you're not going to do that, which is the case for my example, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to put 100% to non-branded search. Then you would change nothing. And then it'll by default won't show brand name. Now, the next thing you want to do here, this is absolutely necessary, is you want to change the image. So again, very similar to URL Rotator, you want to just click the kind of message node and then click the image here. And you select whatever image is. And this is absolutely really important. This has to be your main image. Whatever your main image is on Amazon, this is what this should be as well. And then you want to scroll down and you're going to want to replace the product price. So whatever the product price is on Amazon, that's what you're going to want to put inside replace price right here. So in my case, I'm just going to change it to 90, 95, right? And if you want, you can actually change these prices too, just to make it a little bit more, tricky for the user to figure out exactly what you're selling, right? So I just do like that, and then I'll leave it like that. And this is just a price match to make sure that they found the right product, because that'd be really tragic if you told them to buy something and then they pick your competitor and then they purchase it by accident. So obviously you want to avoid that by making sure they pick the right price. And then once you're done doing all of that, you'll hit publish. Now we've published all the changes. Now, exactly like the URL rotator, what we need to do is we need to grab all of this and then throw it into our rebate automation flow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click and hold shift, click, and then I just scroll down, or I mouse down a little bit. Once I select everything, then I go Control C, and then I go into my rebate automation flow, which I already had open in the other tab. And I'd always recommend like using just 2 tabs unless your computer really can't handle it, but hopefully that's not the case. Now, the next step you want to do is just kind of go right here in the white canvas, just below in the sandbox, and then you hit Control V. Now it's going to paste in everything. And again, be patient with it if it does take a little while, because sometimes that does happen. And I'm just trying to get it so it lines up really straight. You don't absolutely need to do it so it lines up straight. I just like to have it a little organized. It's being a little difficult. Anyways, we'll pretend like it lined up perfect there. Now, the next thing we want to do here, in our case, seeing as if we have multiple finding methods, we're going to want to link that to our main randomizer, which it's just taking a little bit of time to load. So as you can see, even if for me, it lags a little bit. So what we want to do, see, this is our main kind of randomizer, like the one that it goes into, and then it decides where the traffic should go for the finding method. So I'm just going to take B and I'll put that over here inside the keyword randomizer. So like the first randomizer is the finding method randomizer, and then the second randomizer is the keyword randomizer. Okay, so now I've got that plumbed in. The next thing I want to plumb in is essentially this kind of step right here. And I want to make it so it lines up with the same one as where this one's going right here. So you just follow the line, boom, right over here. So essentially it should go into this condition. I'll just zoom in on it. It should go in right here, right after the link buying method inside the rebate automation templates. So that's where you want to go into. And that is it for this one. And of course, if you wanted to change the main randomizer here to be like 50% this, 50% that, right? Then you can do that. You could change like, okay, 50 here, 50 over here. Of course, it didn't go at 50 right away. So you can definitely do that. Now, the last one I'm going to be doing, which is the link laundering one. This one's a really big flow. I'm not going to be able to go over editing everything perfectly inside the flow, because you usually have to make the landing page first, and then you have to link the flow to that. And again, the webinar that goes into kind of how to edit the laundering links, that goes into kind of in depth on how to set all these things up. So I know if it doesn't make too much sense just in this kind of webinar here, then I would highly recommend going into kind of the previous one and seeing how link laundering really works. But let's go into that one right now. So that one right here is just like this, and this is what it looks like. Again, as you can see, it's significantly bigger than the other two that we went into, and I will explain why, but I won't be able to go into detail on how to set this up perfectly, just because of the length of how long it would take to do that. So again, the flows are set up very similarly. You have the instructions, optional steps, and then notes, but in this case, there are no notes. The first kind of randomizer actually determines what laundering method you're going to be using, whether that be YouTube, Pinterest, Facebook, or even Google. Google's the first one. And then the other one randomizes the keywords that you're going to be using. So in this case, there's only 5 keywords. In the other 2 ranking methods, there were 10 keywords at most. But in laundering links, you have 5 keywords. You can you can definitely add more if you really wanted to, but by default, I put 5 because the amount of work that you have to put in to set these things up is actually quite substantial. So if you ever do more than 5, I think you're definitely pushing things. So to set this flow up, all you really need to do is, first you need to add the flow. And again, I can't go into full detail on that just because of the length of it. But similar to the other flows, you determine what traffic goes where, right? So in this case, you could do either like Google, YouTube, Pinterest, or Facebook, and then pick which ones you want to do, right? There are 4 different kind of laundering methods. So in my case, let's just do 50-50 between Google and YouTube, okay? So the Google one is actually like one of the simplest one to do, because you actually don't need to do that much in terms of like editing. But you would need to edit the keyword tracker. So whatever keyword you want to be ranking for. So again, in my case, it's just keyword 1. And I'll do 3 keywords like I've done in the past examples. So I'll do 34, 30, 30. Okay, there we go. So I'll do keyword 2 as well over here. I know this gets a little repetitive here, but it's just a kind of setup process. All right, keyword 3. Okay, next thing we need to do here is theoretically, when you do install this template, you want to be sure that it merges on to whatever bot field that matches your product name ASIN right here. The reasoning being is because it actually auto generates these links with that. So if you didn't merge that bot field, what you would want to do is you want to delete this thing in blue right here, this bot field, and then you would want to paste in your ASIN right there. Also, you would, if you're doing a different marketplace, example, the UK, you would want to change the marketplace right here. Instead of Amazon.com, you'd put Amazon.euk.co, I think. Anyways, I could be wrong there. But I believe that's what it is. And then you would hit publish, or yeah, then you would hit publish. I didn't do the YouTube one. I'll actually just go over that one very shortly. So the YouTube one, again, we're going to have 3 keywords like we've done previously. So 3, 3. And then we'll do keyword 1, keyword 1, keyword 2. So keyword 2, whoops, 2. And then we'll do keyword 3. And the last part, when you edit the actual YouTube, this is where you have to make the landing page. And again, like I can't go into extreme detail on how that works. But essentially what it would look like is you would just basically take your landing page, which is like basically the dummy video, and you would take that link that goes straight to that dummy video that will bring them to the detail page, and you'd put that dummy video right here, which is what I call the landing page. Again, for more detail, definitely check out the other webinar to kind of go over that. But once all those changes are done and you're happy with the way it looks, then you would hit publish. And then similar to the other two, you just want to go click shift, hold, and then you grab all of this. And this is going to take a while because I got to scroll quite a bit of ways down. I don't know if I should grab everything. Oh, I'll just grab everything. I'm just going to grab it all. So obviously this is going to add quite a bit to the automation flow here. So I grabbed it all and we hit Control C. Or did I grab it all? I think I might have missed. No, I grabbed it all. Perfect. So I hit Control C, and then I'm just going to scroll down here right on the white canvas, and then I'll just hit Control V. Now this is going to take a little bit to load in. And then I'm going to just line it up like this. I believe that's good. I didn't really want to bring this in right here, but what I'll do is I'll just delete it from here. So I'll just highlight over it, and then you'd hit the little garbage box, which is the delete. And then you just have to plumb in everything from here. So the reason why it might be taking a little long to delete is just because the flow's definitely getting big. So what you need to do to plumb everything in is all the different kind of the 2 methods right here. Right, so this one right here, there's Google, and then the landing page methods. You just need to plumb in with your other flow here. There's no specific order. Like I could have plumbed it in here first, but I'm going to plumb it in here first, and then I'll plumb that in after. So essentially just, I should probably zoom in just a little bit more to show you guys. Yeah, it's lagging a little bit, guys. So if you see if I'm clicking and it's not moving, then it just means that ManyChat's having a bit of a hard time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to close my other page, and I think that might help. That's one thing I definitely do recommend if you try to minimize your tabs, just to make it load a little more efficiently. Seeing as if it is getting pretty big if you ever do all 3 ranking methods at once. Okay, so I just need to plumb it in right here, similar to these other 2 right here. And I'll do the other last little bit right here. This one. Okay. I'm hoping that like you guys are able to follow along. I know this isn't the easiest thing to follow along to. And the last thing is that main rotator. Yeah, you want to talk, Troy?
No, I mean, I know you're layering on. So for many, they're going to be picking one option and then adding it into a flow. But obviously, as we're educating, we're sort of 3xing what others may have to do. And
Yeah.
I just wanted to stress something in terms of the link laundering is that you also give the free resources for creating the videos that are the landing pages that help with
Yep.
impacting that external traffic. And one other thing I see in terms of the continued popularity of ManyChat and now it's a diplomatic way of saying it, sort of a single flow model that you may see from whether it's another option or service or tool. This really flies in the face of it intentionally because when you predictably continue to send traffic in the same way, shape, and form from a single source, it dilutes the ranking impact. You're actually just kind of throwing money at it, not getting the rank benefit. And on the complete other end of the spectrum, and this is where sometimes it looks complex, but what actually it does is it gives Amazon what it wants in a variety of social signals, strong buyer intent from these really strong domain authorities that you can cycle through. That's really where the randomizer, the multiple activities across a wide array of customers benefits your ranking versus saying A to B over and over again. And then you wonder why your account's at risk and the rankings devalued and all of these things that Amazon sort of picks up on because we sort of know they're sophisticated enough to say, hey, 1,000 people did the same exact thing versus, as you see here, this web of activity. But the reason why it exists is for buyer intent across a variety of sources with different search intent in terms of keywords. And we're giving Amazon all this stuff in a bunch of different signals. We're giving them like 10 different signals versus just one with a ton of density.
100%. Yeah, that's definitely right. And I would say the two that are I'd say the most important would be link laundering as well as search find buy. The other one, the URL rotator, I'd say you probably don't need that if you're doing link laundering because it doesn't make much sense to use that one. But the search find buy accompanied with the link laundering, right? So give Amazon kind of external signals, right? Through link laundering, right? Making the traffic appear like it's coming from YouTube and so on. And then also making it so people are searching, they're scrolling their SERP page, which is the search engine result page, and then they're clicking your detail page versus all the rest that are coming up. It just gives them that variety of signals. So again, the two that I would either recommend using is kind of search find buy, right? That flow right there, and then the link laundering flow. The link laundering flow is much harder to set up and it's much more advanced. So just bear that in mind. And again, I can't go over every single little detail because that would just be another hour from already right now. And I was hoping this would be less than an hour. And I think we're coming close to an hour right now. But that is essentially it, guys. We've essentially set up all three finding methods inside one rebate automation flow. And of course, we got that one main randomizer that randomizes where the traffic's going to go. And then we've got all these other finding methods, right? So we made sure that they're set up properly. Obviously, I didn't use a real keyword, a real picture and so on, but you guys get the point. It's from there. That's how they find the product. And then they would put in their order number, hopefully afterwards. So back to the presentation. I believe I did this well, but again, you guys could, leave questions if you think I missed something or you're not sure of something. So that is it for that. Now we're at the kind of questions phase. So let me see. Do you think I have any questions that I might have missed? Because I wasn't reading them as I was.
No, nobody actually got back to me on my question for anybody running a current rebate automation, but I think this would be a good time in terms of sharing your experience or getting your questions answered. Oben and Ron had questions for regarding link laundering and your experience. Does referring via your own site seem to have much of an additional impact? What I would say on that, Ron, is that because there's not quite the domain authority, there most likely wouldn't be much in the way of increased impact. That's a big reason why we focus on Google and Google property, YouTube, is that Amazon does seem to reward that disproportionately. So if you have a new site, where it's still being crawled and indexed, and even in Google searchability and visibility, I wouldn't prioritize that necessarily.
Yeah, correct. You're definitely trying to use the domain authority to your advantage, and your own site, although it might be pretty and it might be there for a good period of time, there's just no way that it can match the behemoths known as Facebook and YouTube and Pinterest and so on. It's just like it can't beat those ones. So I've never actually tried laundering it through my own site. I usually just use those three, or Google is good as well. So right here, guys, I gave a link. I believe I probably didn't give it to everybody because I always seem to forget that setting.
No, you did. Hosts and panelists, you're good.
Okay. So I gave this resource right here, guys, and what I'm going to do after this call is I'm actually going to maybe make like a little section where it's like Google Slides, and there'll be a link to those shared Google Slides, so you guys could take a look at that as well. But this is essentially all the kind of webinar calls we've had, and I've documented like when it was published, and it goes by order, the length of the webinar. Most of the webinars, again, they start with a little intro, and then we kind of go into some questions, and then we go into the meat of the topic, and then at the end, again, we're at the questions again. And then the level of importance. So level of importance is really important, meaning it's like, this is what I would consider more important than some of the other topics. Not saying the other topics aren't important. It's just like, if I was to select which ones I would watch first, I would watch the ones that are really important. Then it's really high as level of importance, and then it's high, and then it's medium, and then it would go low as like kind of the last ones. But of course, if you're looking for a specific topic, right? Like let's say you're really looking to set up your ManyChat account and you haven't watched the other really high, webinars, then by all means, just watch this one. So that way you're able to set up the ManyChat account properly, or you want to use a paid ad, but you haven't seen all the other ones. It's like, just watch this one, right? So watch whatever is going to best suit your guys' needs. But I would, if you're not sure exactly where to start, then just start with the really important ones and then kind of work your way. And this is one of the kind of resources I would look at. The other ones is the beta kind of, so Seller.Tools, the beta template, essentially they're all on the website now. There are going to be a few templates that are technically not on the website just as of right now. An example of that would be the OTN capturing footer flow. I do plan on adding that one soon. I just literally made this today, but I don't plan on putting it on the site for another little bit until probably next week. So there are a couple different templates that will most likely be available here. I know last week you guys wanted me to go into kind of OTN capturing and the footer flows there. We're already kind of running up on an hour, which I kind of figured. I was kind of hoping it would be a little bit shorter, but just it always seems like it runs up about an hour long. Next week's topic is going to be footer flows. Somebody talking about basically all these flows right here, highlighting kind of OTN and capturing those. So just keep in mind that for those of you that wanted to see footer flow or the OTN kind of footer flows, the flow is available. So if you want to download it and check it out, see what it's all about, you can. And next week I'll be talking about that. What else did I want to go over?
Cool. Yeah, a few questions that are rolling in here too. Let's see. Have you noticed that Facebook has been proactively banning pages that are used for rebates getting reviews? So few things from my perspective. Earlier this year, Facebook was immensely sporadic and it really hurt a lot of the ManyChat activity. There has been a leveling out of interpretation of tags, of how pages are treated. So I think we're in a much better place in terms of that. But similar to a prior question is obviously treat your rebates with care, treat your customers with care. And the way that we focus on getting reviews is we bolt on the TOS compliant review request. It's a kind of a unique way that Seller.Tools distinctly does it, where once a customer gets to a certain step in the flow, we'll trigger and send out that review request. And then we can decide if we want to follow up in ManyChat. But because we're not asking them in ManyChat, essentially reviews never come up in the ManyChat. The ask for reviews never come up there, right? You can always support a customer and get ahead of any negative reviews, but we don't say, hey, would you mind leaving a review? We trigger the TOS compliant review request, and then we think of how we follow up with that customer on what's in their inbox direct from Amazon.
Yeah. So just to tie in really shortly, and we'll go to the next question afterwards. So what Troy was saying is by default, we actually don't message people to ask for a review. But that being said, we do kind of ping Amazon to send them a TOS compliant email asking for a review. And you can actually add something here if you really wanted to. You can add a little, SMS if you really are capturing their SMS, which I will go into next week on how to do that a little bit. But essentially you can ask like, hey, Amazon just left you an email. We'd really appreciate if you took the time to leave a review. And that way it's not coming through Facebook and you know, you're not going against any of the rules. The main one being staying within that 24-hour window. A lot of pages that are getting banned and suspended are usually either their flows aren't compliant, meaning they might be using post-purchase tags, or they might doing something that they shouldn't be, like trying to interact with the users outside of the 24-hour rule. And that's usually why they get banned. There are some occasions where you can get banned because people report your page. Maybe again, you had a little bit of delays, you weren't able to rebate this person on time, whatever it may be, and then they just report you, and then bam, your page is gone. Facebook do not mess around; they just kick you off right away. So that's one thing I've noticed.
Yep, that's a good point. That's a good point. One quick answer to a question: where can I find the Google Doc with the Seller.Tools weekly links? So that is in the chat, the Zoom chat. Make sure to hop over there because Tyler just dropped that in, titled Seller.Tools ManyChat weekly webinars. So extensive, specific resources and training that you can utilize.
Yeah, and I would recommend you guys bookmark it because I plan on keeping everything here. So like everything moving forward will be here, as well as all the Google Slides. So everybody that was talking about, hey, where's the Google Slides? And I will, after this call, obviously it's not here now, but I'll do it afterwards. I'll put all the Google Slide links here as well, so you guys can have access to all those as well. I'll probably put it like right between these two somewhere. Okay, so do you think you would see any benefit to sending search, find, buy instructions to your YouTube video? I mean, yeah, there'd probably be some benefit. I think it'd be a little complex for the user, right? So you have to kind of think about it from the user's perspective. You're already asking them to go to YouTube and then go from YouTube, go to here. So it's already kind of a bit more legwork that they have to do, right? Opposed to just clicking a link. So I don't think you'd want to do something that extensive to amplify your drop-off rate, which you're obviously going to have just running these type of templates. So you have anything to add on there, Troy?
Nope, no, I think that's good.
Okay, OTN versus SMS, which one would you think is more powerful? I think I love both, so I actually capture both in my flows, but I would say SMS is probably more powerful because you're able to do it anytime you want. And OTN, you can only do it once afterwards. Technically, you can capture a bunch of different OTNs, but OTN is that one-time use, and then SMS is like that multiple time use. Now, if you look at it like, oh, well, you can use it multiple times, but you're paying every time you use it, and it's like, fair enough. So there's kind of pros and cons to both, but I would lean a little bit more towards SMS. Is the micro actions?
What what's the micro actions webinar?
Oh, that one actually. So look, believe it or not, in this Google Doc right here, you can actually see some of the topics coming up. So I made it so you guys can actually see.
Letting the cat out of the bag here.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what Troy wanted, but either way, you guys could see what's coming up. So like we're doing this one right now, and then the footer flows is next, and then Amazon explanation, which is going to be a really, really big one. I'd highly advise you guys, I know that maybe some of them are already bookmarked and so on, but like this one is, in my opinion, going to be a very pivotal piece. That's why I put it as really important. And then we're going to go into meta interactions, which is what you guys want to see. So like, how do you actually use this? But I feel like it's more important to explain kind of Amazon's ranking signals and all this other stuff, which then that'll feed into this, right? So it would make very little sense to go over this and then go over this. So that's why this one's a little bit before. But yeah, this is it's coming up, I guess, in 3 weeks from now. So it's still a little ways away, but the flows are available. So if you're really curious, you can actually take a look. You would just go into the Seller.Tools website, go to automations, then ManyChat flows, and then you would go into, I believe it's add-ons, and then you'll see the 3 right here, right? So there's competitor page interactions.
Yeah, this is some ninja stuff you're giving away too, Tyler. I think
yeah, it really is. This is like advanced, like crazy advanced, guys. So if you're able to use this, and again, it tells you what to do in the flow. So if you're able to read instructions inside Flow Builder and then just put it in there and plumb it in, then you're good to go. And if you're not 100% like really comfortable with ManyChat, I would highly advise then you take a look at the kind of experts we have. So again, you just go to automation, experts, And then you just see, okay, who kind of fits my goals and blah, blah, blah. You take a look at them and then you maybe book a call with a few of them, or maybe you book a call with one of them and then you work something out and then bam, now they can help you out, set up your ManyChat flows. And I'm sure that they would be able to, set up these kind of meta interaction flows. So just keep that in mind, that if you're not comfortable, or maybe your team isn't comfortable, that you can easily hire somebody that could do this for you or could teach you. Either way, it'll work out well for you, I'm sure. So I would highly advise that you take a look at the experts if that's something that you need help with. What else?
Excellent. I think that covers it on the questions front too. Hopefully this was a really great training. I think it makes for a really great, that list of all the trainings, all the resources, free flows, landing page resources. This is really getting built out in such a way that, you should be able to dial in. What area do you need a training on? Dive right into that. Take that free resource, plug it in, and definitely test it out. Get to utilizing it. So whether it is that automated review capture, which is really powerful, or now that we've unpacked more of the ranking objectives, and inherent in all of this, since we're using ManyChat, we get more customer data. Seller.Tools helps us with that as we verify orders and see some of that valuable data that we can then use and continue to engage those customers and support them and relaunch, re-rank as we need to.
Yep. Nope. 100%, guys. And just kind of before we end this off, definitely, even if you guys aren't committed to using some of these templates, like you can easily download them, see what they're all about, and then maybe decide, you know what, I like this. We'll take this and take this, or we'll use this and merge this with something else. Feel free to just download them all. I mean, maybe not all of them. There's quite a few now, but download the ones that you think are important to you, and then edit them, play around with it. Really look into what your goals of the business are. If it's to do like a ranking campaign, or is it to build a list through insert cards and so on, right? Because we've got some really neat insert cards. And I actually have made videos, I believe it was last week. Anyways, it's very recent. So you can actually, even though I haven't talked about it in the webinar yet, you can actually take a look at the full length of the videos and say, okay, I want to use this. And there's just a video going over the instructions, which is like how to edit it. And then there's an overview of what it is. So if you're not sure what it is, then you can actually just take an overview video. So that way you're not locked in for 25 minutes. You're just locked in for a simple 4 minutes. And then see what kind of matches. And again, these are really, really, really powerful. And of course, feel free to edit them as your heart content. So, and if you actually want to see what it looks like from the user's perspective when you're chatting with it, you can actually go through the demo bot, which is a neat little feature to just kind of give you an idea of what it looks like from a customer's perspective. Just keep in mind, it's a demo bot, so it's not obviously plumbed in perfectly, meaning there's no like logic steps set up. It's just like gonna let you through all the messaging, so you'll see what the messages look like anyways. Yeah. All right, do we have any questions? I think we're good. I mean, I'm not sure.
Yeah, and then with some really great feedback. Wonderful from Jocelyn. Open says awesome. Georgiana says, Tyler, you are a genius. Thank you. So
okay,
I think a lot of great feedback. I think we've got a lot to keep the value rolling. Everybody hopefully again knows where to find and get access to free resources. I did, just as a favor, and Tyler and I always love to see this, drop a link in where you can share any feedback. You can just give it a like, give it a share, give it a whatever you feel like you'd like to let us know. We just want to get more feedback from you all who've joined us live, and continue, Tyler, to keep doing awesome content, a bunch of free resources and things that help us to level up, do something different and exceptional.
Yep, for sure, guys. That's it. And we look forward to seeing you guys in the next call. And yeah, I think that's it.
Great. Thanks, everybody.
Peace. Take it easy, guys.
Bye.